The universe doesn't whisper anymore, it leaks. For decades, space agencies told us what we were allowed to see: bright galaxies, neat orbits, and harmless chunks of rock drifting through the void. But something about the latest 3I Atlas image data doesn't fit that clean story. Something feels unfinished, like a page ripped out of a book they hoped nobody would notice. And just when scientists thought they had everything under control, an entirely different interstellar body, UN271, enters the picture, shaking everything we thought we understood about what's passing through our solar system. Before we go any deeper, if you enjoy mind-bending space breakdowns like this, hit the like button and subscribe, because the next few minutes might change how you see the sky forever. Now let's talk about what NASA didn't highlight in their press releases. When the first enhanced images of 3I Atlas surfaced, most headlines focused on its speed and origin. They called it just another interstellar object, another rocky tourist passing through. But independent astronomers and image analysts noticed something else buried in the data. Not its tail, not its trajectory, but its structure. Unlike typical comets, which display chaotic, fuzzy outgassing patterns, the brightness distribution around 3I Atlas appeared organized, symmetrical in places, repeating. Some even pointed out patterns that looked disturbingly artificial, like layered emission bands, as if the object wasn't just ejecting dust, but doing so in regulated pulses. NASA brushed this off as instrument artifact, a fancy way of saying, don't worry about it. But scientists outside that bubble started asking a harder question. What if the image wasn't corrupted? What if it was revealing too much? Because here's where it becomes uncomfortable. 3I Atlas isn't just another interstellar visitor. Its trajectory doesn't perfectly align with most known interstellar entry paths. It came in cleaner, straighter, as if something had already plotted its course long before it ever approached our sun. And then there's the brightness issue. When light reflects off normal comets, the albedo, or reflectivity, stays within a predictable range. But 3I Atlas doesn't follow those rules. Some parts of its surface reflect light more like polished metal than dirty ice. That shouldn't happen naturally, at least not according to what we currently know. NASA summarized all of this into one neat sentence: more data is needed. But the public wasn't fooled. Because every time something genuinely new shows up in space, that's the sentence they use before burying the weird parts under technical language. Now enter UN271. Also known as Bernardinelli Bernstein, UN271 is one of the largest known objects ever observed entering our inner solar system from the Oort cloud region. Unlike 3I Atlas, it's massive. We're talking about an object estimated to be over 100 kilometers wide, larger than many small cities. And what makes UN271 terrifyingly relevant to this? It's also behaving strangely. While astronomers originally thought UN271 was just an ancient comet making its first trip near the sun, recent thermal data tells a different story. Its surface temperature doesn't align with what it should be, based on its distance. It's warmer, more stable. Stable objects are supposed to be dead, cold, inactive, but UN271 isn't. Even at extreme distances, it emits subtle energy signatures, weak but consistent, almost like residual power, which has led some researchers to float theories nobody officially wants attached to their name. What if both 3I Atlas and UN271 aren't just space debris? What if they're the leftovers of something bigger? Something old? Something not designed for us to understand? One independent researcher compared the situation to finding two unrelated keys in different locations, only to realize they both fit the same lock. And suddenly, 3I Atlas wasn't just a random visitor, it became a clue. Because the isotopic composition of debris trailing behind 3I Atlas doesn't match typical solar system material. There are anomalies, ratios that shouldn't naturally form under known stellar conditions. That normally happens when material gets processed under extreme artificial environments, like inside something or by something. NASA addressed this by saying interstellar objects form under unknown alien stellar conditions. But notice that word, alien. They mean foreign to our solar system. But what if it's meant literally? Look, nobody's saying it's a spaceship. Not yet. But when objects break enough rules, the questions start stacking. Why does 3I Atlas rotate differently than expected for its mass? Why does its luminosity fluctuate in mathematical rhythms instead of chaotic bursts? Why does UN271 radiate energy when it should be dormant? And most importantly, why did NASA downplay all of it? History shows a pattern. When Oumuamua passed through, there was that exact same energy, a strange object, strange behavior, unusual silence from official channels. Then reports leaked, then theories emerged. Then suddenly, the story died. 3I Atlas feels like that story rebooted. Except this time, it's backed by something even bigger, UN271. Because if you look at their orbital paths closely, there's an eerie near alignment when traced backwards. Not exact, but within enough range to suggest both objects originated from a similar region of interstellar space. A region we haven't mapped, a region we know nothing about. And that's terrifying, because space isn't empty. We're just usually too early or too late to catch what moves through it. Until now. Some astronomers believe we're entering a period where more interstellar objects will be detected. Not because there are suddenly more of them, but because our instruments are finally sensitive enough to catch what's always been there. Which opens a darker possibility. What if 3I Atlas and UN271 are only the ones we're lucky enough to notice? What if dozens more already passed through quietly before humanity ever pointed telescopes properly at the sky? And what if some never leave? Here's the part that NASA definitely doesn't want in headlines. A small group of astrophysicists ran simulations based on 3I Atlas's velocity and mass. The model suggested that if its internal structure is even partially hollow, not fully solid, it could theoretically be a remnant of a much larger construct that fragmented long ago. A cosmic relic, a broken machine, or worse, a discarded tool. UN271 shows similar internal anomalies. Density estimates don't line up. Its mass is distributed oddly, as if parts of it are clustered around internal structural points rather than evenly spread. Natural objects don't do that. Engineered ones do. Again, no one is calling them alien artifacts publicly, but behind closed doors, conversations change. Because when objects from outside your solar system start behaving less like rocks and more like systems, you don't dismiss that as coincidence. You monitor it. And they are, more than they admit. Infrared satellites have been quietly retasked. Observation windows have been extended. Data releases delayed. Why? Because you don't rush information when you're not sure how people will process it. And you don't announce things until you've figured out whether you're looking at a curiosity or a warning. 3I Atlas might just be a strange interstellar comet. UN271 might just be an ancient block of ice and dust, or they might be the first traces of something larger passing through our cosmic neighborhood. Something patient, something old, something that doesn't care whether we understand it or not. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If that's the case, we won't find out, because they tell us. We'll find out because more of these things start appearing. Closer, clearer, impossible to ignore. And the next time one shows up, it might not leave as quietly as 3I Atlas plans to. So the question isn't whether NASA left information out. They always do. The real question is, what do they already see that we won't be allowed to see quite yet?